Just a second. All right, it's live. We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2022 Summer Internship hosted by Bea Group. I am June Bea, CEO of Bea Group.
It's live. We are live.
Oh, no, this is what happened last time.
Well,
sorry about that. That was my little glitch that happened this morning. I got really good at it. And then this last one. Anyways, we are live and this is what happens when you're live. So I'm June Bea, CEO of Bea Group. I wanted to welcome all of you this is our fourth showcase of the day. We have 16 different showcases. We had over 260 interns this summer. And so stay tuned. Tomorrow we have another 4 showcases. Today we were so fortunate. We already had, we started with skateboard making, then we had metaverse, then we had fresh films, and this is our 4th one with graphic design. This is the 7th year we've run internships at Bea Group, and this is the 3rd summer we've done a work from home paid internship. We're very fortunate to work with some awesome communities, Downey, Davis, and Glendale. And we're even more fortunate to have deep dive leads who are mentors, industry pros who work with our interns. So what happens is this is a paid internship. They spend the first week onboarding with Bea Group. So we do everything from get them Microsoft Office 365 email to doing some leadership sessions, as well as communication mastery. Then every week they have social justice in the workplace sessions. And then starting week 2, they work with our deep dive lead. So this one is focused on graphic design. I wanted to bring Mike Strong on to share with you more of what they've been working on for the last 5 weeks. And then each intern will share with you a little bit about their project. So I'm going to turn it over to Mike. Hi, Mike.
Hi, June. I love this live streaming stuff. It's so real. It's so real. This is who we are. And what we're going to get a glimpse of is who our interns are. And I think it'll be a few things that we will see and hear from them. They've engaged in a fairly comprehensive intro to graphic design experience, really focused on who they are. And so you will see their personalities, you'll see their aesthetic sense, you will see a lot of pride in where they're from. Both the cities they're from, the schools they're from. You'll see some pretty important connection between them and culture and how they see the culture in the world that they live in, help to tell stories about who we are. And they'll see some connection to our work. I'm a founder and partner at Blue Dot Education. We work with schools, districts, and others around designing justice and joy into learning, and part of that design experience is also helping us tell stories. And so there are some of our partners the interns have actually helped to do some work and thinking around some real authentic clients that we work with, as well as creating some, I think, really beautiful art in a relatively short amount of time, creating some really beautiful art that is iterative, that is engaging, and not only practices some of the principles of graphic design, but really some principles of being a learner, being a partner and a collaborator. I'm really expressing some deeper learning skills that are really important to the workplace now. And so we've done work kind of trying to move from we know what this is, we understand it, to if I can apply it. I really understand who I am, and now I can apply my own understanding of who I am to a sort of academic and workplace mindset where I can engage with a team and make something. And so I'm really proud of them. It's been a joy through the summer. I love being around kids and youth, and so it's been great to have my time with them a few times a week and see them develop.
Thank you. And I wanted to introduce Gary Pearson. Again, we've been so fortunate at Bea Group to be working with our school district partners. So Gary's been instrumental in Davis. So Gary, thanks for being here.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. Now, this is my 4th time today. So I've been jumping in as I can. In the real world, I do a lot of different things. My focus here is I'm the Career Technical Education Grant specialist for Davis Joint Unified School District. My partner in crime is Heike Ferrer. She is the health science patient care instructor, but also does a lot of stuff in programming. So it's when we started these processes, actually over a year ago, we started with a small number, and this year Davis has got a pretty substantial number of interns. So I'm really looking forward to listening to all of them. So that's all.
Thanks, Gary. Awesome. All right, Mike, take it away.
Yeah, great. So we're going to be doing a little bit of a piggybacking here. I talked about collaboration and the skills. You might see a name on here. I'm not sure if she will pop up, but I had a co-designer with me named Elena, who is going to be running the show behind the scenes. And in our world of virtual work, remote work, there's Elena. I hope she's on the screen. She has been more than instrumental. She has been the conductor of the instrumental work at times. And so she's going to be running behind the scenes. And so everything you see that kind of orchestrates what we do, she is really behind it. She also is an amazing designer herself and added, I can't tell you how important it was, the collaboration we got to have together. And I think learning from somebody that was closer to their age was sometimes really great too. And someone who's just an incredible artist in her own right was really, really helpful. So thank you, Elena, so much.
Thank you so much, Mike. I'm also super proud of every single intern's work. I saw them all grow so much, and it was very, very impressive to see it, like where they started and where they ended up. No matter like what different skill levels they had, they all ended up with such great work at the end, and I'm very proud of them all.
Absolutely. So we're going to be working from a presentation software. If it looks a little different to you, we like to use Miro. It's sort of an endless whiteboard, really, really fantastic tool that our organization uses all the time. If you've been watching other deep dive showcases, well, if you haven't been, you should. So if you're here watching this on YouTube, just subscribe so you can see the other groups present throughout the week. And you can go back. June, can they go back and watch the other ones as well?
Oh, yes, forever
Awesome.
and ever.
So if you're here watching because you knew me or something, hit subscribe so then you can go catch the other ones, because they're all different and different ways they were run, and it's powerful. But you'll see this platform a little bit, Miro. That's what we'll be presenting from. And so we have a working order, and we will stick to it as best we can. And you will see a selection of work from across the last several weeks. And hopefully what you identify is, I see how you took feedback and you iterated your work. That's like a vital, important skill set to me. And so that's what we worked on the most. So we'll spend a few minutes with each intern. We do have a bunch of folks who are going to share. We'll kick it off with Ashley.
I think Ashley was absent, but I will.
Oh, that's right.
share
We're
her.
going to kick it
No,
off
but
with
I'm gonna a recording of Ashley.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent.
Give me a second. I think. Oh wait, hold on. I have to make sure I share. I love technical difficulties on live YouTube. It's my favorite thing. Give me 2 more seconds.
We love live. It keeps it real.
I know it's so great.
It's so great.
It's so great.
And I'll say, as she's queuing this up, another remarkable thing is just the way that our interns navigated an increasingly adult life for them. So jobs and school and responsibilities at home, and still being able to create beautiful things is just remarkable to me. All right, Elena, you got it?
Hi, my name is Ashley Donaker, and this is my presentation. For week 1, we were tasked to make a postcard. So we started off making like a postcard about our town, something that kind of symbolized our town. And in my town, we kind of have sunflowers growing frequently. So that was a photo I chose for my postcard. And then I kind of added some text, as you can see on the bottom right. That was my first choice. And then over time, I got feedback from some people in the internship who helped me create a better postcard that I was more confident about, something that looked more brighter and easier to see, and something that popped out. And I thought my final look on the bigger picture, my postcard looks a lot better than before. And for week 2, we were tasked to make a little slideshow that was kind of about us. So as you can see on the top right, we collected some images or photos or some colors that were kind of about us. We made a little color palette, and then we were tasked to kind of interpret those things into a kind of presentation slide that was kind of a graphic design type little thing. And my original slide was not as good as what I have now. There was too many colors, everything was super vibrant, and I didn't have matching colors that kind of worked well with each other. That was the week we also got introduced to color theory, which I thought was really helpful because it helped me pair colors together that worked well, and kind of it also helped me make some colors pop out more, some colors look more like they were in the background. And so that was week 2. For week 3, we were tasked to create also again a postcard and some social media posts for a company. We were also introduced with color values, which I thought was very important. That it was really useful for helping me make these, because originally I had some of my postcard and social media posts with a lot of vibrant colors. And when we learned about the color values, it kind of helped me still continue to have those colors, but make them kind of a little less saturated so that people can still read the text, stay engaged while still enjoying the colors that were there. And I kind of had fun like playing around with the social media posts, because I've never really done that before, especially for a company. And for week 4, we were tasked mainly to create something for graphic design that it was kind of like for ourselves what we wanted to do. So some people made other things. I made a poster for like a show that I like to watch, and my original design was a little bit clustered, and some of the things we learned like about negative space and having an organized layout. I got feedback, and so that helped me create things to look more pieced together, less clustered. I had some photos that I took out. I added a few images to make things more cohesive and looked pieced together, kind of like it worked well and it didn't hurt the eyes. And then I basically on week 4, this project, I kind of used everything that we learned throughout the week to kind of make my almost like a final look for what I've learned. So what I've learned about myself is over the course of this internship, I've learned how to use time management well, how to turn in my work on time, especially with quality work and not just turning in something just to turn it in, taking feedback from others and using it for my work to make it better. What I have learned outside of myself is that besides myself, with everyone else, there's everyone has their own kind of design or their own kind of like feature to things. Even when we're working on the same task, it's nice to see like how other people do their work and how this will affect me going forward. I think this internship has taught me a lot of things. Some I've known, but it's also enhanced some of the things I have known, and I'll definitely take it to the future going forward, because it will help me on how much I love graphic design and art in general. Thank you.
It's so hard for me not to just talk to her directly. And I know she's not here. But I think it's such a great example of that iterative process as feedback gets received. And she didn't include all the drafts. It would be a lot to fit in, but the strides that she took were huge. And and especially just kind of receiving feedback. And Alani again gave some great feedback about design principles to some of them. And I thought Ashley did a great job of responding to those with beautiful work. Yes, yes, yes. All right, we're gonna move ahead. We're gonna keep moving. Next up, we have Andrew. And so I think we'll have his work up quickly. And whenever you're ready, Andrew, we are excited to hear from you.
Hi, my name is Andrew Mao, and this is my presentation. So starting off the internship, I didn't know much about graphic design, and our first task was to make a postcard of a place we live in. And this is the neighborhood I live in. It's called Mace Ranch. And I chose the picture you can see on the left. And it looked too bland to just add text on it. So I decided to add animals because it's a ranch, Mace Ranch. And as you can see on the right, I added multiple animals. And I tried to use correct sizing to make some look closer and further away from the viewer. And I tried to keep it balanced by not adding too much in one spot. And this was my second creation. Our task was to take things we enjoyed, which you can see on the left, and turn into a color palette, which you can also see on the left. And we're supposed to use this color palette to create something like anything, using an article for help on basic design principles. And learning about composition, I made the thing on the right, which is abstract and uses the colors. And I think is more well structured than my first creation because I knew about things like composition and color balance and negative space. So I made sure that there's a focal point and that nothing took away from the focal point too much. So this was another thing we had to make. This was part of an assignment where we had to make a social media post, 2 social media posts, and a postcard to show one of 2 things. And I chose the California Outdoor Equity Grants Program. And we can see my revising process. On the left is the original draft I created, and it has some issues like clarity issues because the images are close together and the colors aren't amazing. But we used a presentation from Milani, and in the middle, you can see one of these is negative space, and you have to have an organized layout to make it look more clean. And on the right, I tried to use this organized layout and negative space to make it look more balanced and more comprehensible. And I think I did a good job of this. And I also changed the colors because the original colors were kind of bland and it didn't highlight what I wanted it to highlight, which was the text and then the images. And this is one of the 2 things I made specifically for this final presentation. This is a book cover for Throne of Glass, which I've never read, but I thought it'd be fun to make a book cover for it. And my original draft, which can't be seen here, I received feedback on, which allowed me to improve because the text in the middle that says Throne of Glass in the original one was not very easy to read. So I made it a different font and made it more filled in. That way there's a clear thing of what you're supposed to be looking at, which is the title. And then your eyes will go down to the hexagon, which has the slogan that I made up. Again, I haven't read the book, so it might not be accurate. And lastly, you'll look at the author if you stick around for that long. And this is my other creation. This is an ad for a theoretical iPhone 20. And I try to copy Apple's style of keeping it simplistic and making it look very clean. Now, on the bottom, you can see the phone, and we put a gradient on there. That way, it draws the viewer's attention to it right away, and they can see how it looks exactly the same as the other ones. And then they'll look at the bolded text on the top, which says iPhone 20, and at the bottom or below the iPhone 20 text, you can see the slogan, "Smartphones done right," which isn't a real slogan, I don't think. And the questions, what have I learned about myself? I've learned that feedback is very useful when revising my work because sometimes I don't know what to change. And this also means I don't know what to create sometimes, like it's hard for me to start, but feedback and suggestions help me a major amount in finalizing my product and making it look like professional and not messy. outside myself, I learned that there's many design principles that cannot be used not only in creation of advertisements like this and book covers, but in overall works. Like if I'm making a presentation, I gotta make sure things are aligned, like centered, and there's a clear focal point of what you're supposed to be looking at, which I tried to do in this presentation. And how this will affect me going forwards, well, I still have school in the future, and knowing how to make cleaner presentations that make more sense and look more professional will help me in all of my work, because it'll make people pay attention more and take me more seriously. Thank you.
That's awesome, Andrew. I want to name something. I didn't tell you before. I used to be a teacher, and one of my former students, when I was a teacher, created a new concept for Apple, and they liked the new concept so much, he became the head of apple.com and was the lead designer for their website. And it literally came from a concept he had. When the iPhone 12 came out, that entire website, all of it, he was in charge of a team of like 60 people creating apple.com. And so sometimes from a simple concept like this and understanding, like, my generation, people who are my age, like really clean lines and a beautiful gradient that will draw our eye in. A simple idea like that can turn into something really significant. And now I think he went from he was at Apple, then he became the guy in charge of GoPro, and I think he's independent now. But like, it's just crazy that your entire career can launch from you having a thought of what you like, and then like crafting and working on that. And I could already see that in you, this idea of like, take feedback, craft with it, think about what you like, craft, right? And develop it. And so really good job, man. Really good work.
Thank you.
Wait, can I ask a question? I'm just curious, Andrew.
Yes.
What did you think about this internship, working from home? What did you think it was going to be like? And what did it turn out to be like for you?
Well, I've never done an internship like this before or had a job before, so this is my first experience with these things. And I thought it was amazing because I had to learn a lot of things that I wouldn't have otherwise learned or looked at, but I also got to do it while not going anywhere, which is really good because it lets me have a flexible schedule.
Thank you. And did you know anything about graphic design before this deep dive?
I've known a few things from other classes like multimedia, but that was a long time ago, and I don't remember much of it coming into this.
Yeah, the designs it's really cool to see the change. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Andrew. Next up, and I'm going to keep us moving. Next up, we have Danielle. Yes. The soaring is one of my favorite little snippets. All right, Danielle, whenever you're ready.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Danielle, and to begin with, on this internship, we were told to create some sort of photo that we eventually edited on to add like small parts that may convey our personality and our background better. So what I did was I chose an aerial shot of my hometown, La Crescenta, and to match in with the suburban environment and mountainous dominance you see in the background, I added a falcon because falcons are birds that are usually soaring high up in the sky, and not only they have that value, but they are also a mascot at my high school, which I found fitting with the photo and how it connects back to myself. And not only that, that high school was one of the first places where I gained some hands-on experience in graphic design in a class I took. It was an elective. And to just add more of a, I guess, style to this photo, I added a airplane to just signify how like high up this shot was taken. And for my second week, I was told to create two separate, I guess, slides on graphic design software, which we used called Canva. And I chose 4 separate images I thought I think I could work around with best and were in my liking. So I took like parts of the photo and its colors from it and placed it on the palette you see on the bottom left of the white slide. And using that palette, I was able to create sort of an abstract shape representation of the images I originally chose. And at first, people suggested I may want to make the, I guess, the abstract shape art more appealing because I didn't have this red diagonal banding you see on the top left and bottom right and the brown background. So I thought I needed to become more diverse in my selection of color. So that's what I've learned about myself so far. I want to mix up and get out of my comfort zone. And this mainly covered around color balance as well, which were one of the topics we learned that week. And as for the third week, I was told to create a postcard and 2 social media posts for one of 2 companies. I chose, as you can see, a company called Innovative Technology Education Fund, which was supporting a lot of young youth or children to get exposed to technology and have the opportunity to get an idea of how technology is used in a real life setting, whether that's in the workplace or at school. And I, at first, was unsure where to start because I normally work on more what I consider creative outputs than working for a client. So my first draft originally did not have the best organization, I would say, because I did not use any of the company colors used in their logo, which was red and green. I actually had a cyan blue for the background, which didn't necessarily fit well with my red text. So what I did was, maybe if I use the company logo colors, then people will more likely understand what I'm trying to advertise to them. And as for the post, that regarded both the postcard and the social media post. And I think for the social media post, I mainly tried to make sure everything was legible because some parts I had to cut down on. It was too much of a word count. And as for the fourth week, we were told that we were allowed to, I guess, had the freedom to produce anything we wanted. And since I myself like brands, especially clothing, I chose to make 2 hypothetical brands that I found inspiration from different already existing brands. The one on the left, I would consider could fit well with a sport, perhaps, because it sort of reminds me of Nike using a bright color in the middle, but then having a very dark, nearly black background. And most people seem to enjoy this concept. I think most people liked the uppercase cyan blue N in the background. It may have looked, I guess, to them trendy or appealing. And as for the one on the right, this one, I wanted to go for a more refined, formal clothing line. And as you can tell, I used a different font style, which I think adds to that purpose of using a cursive font, and the blue, smooth, maybe linen material I put in the background just signifies my original purpose for this brand, Cloaked. And as for my last slide, I did this as my final input for this internship, and I on my own time before the internship mainly did something where I create t-shirts that I think I would want to wear eventually if I had the chance to make it in real life. And I mainly chose the combination of conceptual art because I enjoy looking at conceptual art pieces. And I sort of like that streetwear style put in because it puts a more, I guess, off-putting tone. I don't want to just look like I'm advertising or persuading some random conceptual art pieces. So with those two elements combined, it added that tone I was looking for. And as for what I have learned outside of this internship was collaboration is what helps me feel motivated. And I think being able to learn all of these different design concepts like hierarchy and color balance, I'm more likely to apply these concepts in an industry that I am passionate for. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Really great work living and working at the edge, I would say, and outside of your comfort zone. And I think that that is such a challenge when you didn't know me and you didn't know others in the group, and putting yourself out there, especially in a visual creative way, is so tough. And I think that we can see the growth even just across those slides you shared. You can see the growth and the risk taking. And I would just add, the way you talked about the last work you did was the aspirational talk that I kind of pitched to you all earlier when we were first starting the internship, of like, this needs to be yours and will become yours. That sense of like, of your own confidence in it and your excitement in it, it's really, really powerful in that last piece. And so cheers to you.
Thank you for that feedback.
All right, Elena, I believe, is going to be up next. You get yourself ready. Hi.
Okay. Oh my god. Wait. Okay. Can you hear me? Please. Right, I got this. Okay, I'm Elena. I live in Bellflower, so I took for this postcard we did in the first week, I just got a picture of the Bellflower Stillcraft. I go there a lot and I thought it was just a nice picture, like a nice part of my city. And yeah. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. Oh, okay, got it. Sorry. And then for week 2, I just put together like this stuff that I like. Okay, for week 2, I just put together the stuff that I like in the colors.
Did we lose Elena? Or did I freeze? Mike, no.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say something. I think she froze.
Okay.
Oh no. The joys of virtual.
That happened last time.
Oh, darn it. Okay. Well, we will come back to her. We'll come back to Elena. Maybe we'll move to Isabella. Is that okay? If we kind of move to you just so we can get everyone in. I don't want to get cramped for time. And then we'll come back.
All right. Hi, my name is Isabella, and I will be talking about my experience during this graphic design internship. So for week 1, we started out by introducing ourselves, getting to know each other, and getting familiar with Miro, which Mike mentioned at the beginning of the stream, which is the website that we use for storing all of our work for our peers and our leaders to see. And we jumped right into our first project, which was to create a postcard for our city, which you can see there on the top left. I took this photo and thought that it was perfect for a postcard of Dixon, California, because here in the Central Valley, we're known a lot for our orchards and lots of farmland. And I wanted to create something simple and rustic to give off a countryside kind of vibe. And for week 2, we started by collecting photos of things that we liked and created brand kits, or picking out colors and textures from the images that we chose. And then we created interpretive designs based on those things that we picked out. The design on the top right was my first pass, and the design on the bottom right is the design after getting feedback. And something that I really wanted to focus on for this design was the balance and the hierarchy of focal points. And I was really happy with that first design, but after I got some feedback, I realized that the red and the green clashed too much. So I got rid of the red altogether, and the final design on the bottom is much more cohesive and has colors that I'm a lot more happy with, and they work better together. For week 3, we learned a lot about the important principles of design, and then we were able to implement those things that we learned into our next project, which was creating a postcard and 2 social media posts for either the California Department of Parks and Recreation or High Tech High. And I chose the California Department of Parks and Recreation, and it was really cool to actually be able to do some research about the company we were designing for. It was a fun challenge to gather up information to put on the designs while still making it look really appealing and eye-catching. And I really enjoyed coming up with a bright color scheme that matched the photos and the logo and make something that people would be interested in and hopefully read more about. And we really learned a lot about color values and contrast and hues and making something that is pretty to look at, but also works really well together. For the final week, we were able to choose whatever kind of project we wanted using the methods that we learned about during this internship. So I chose to create a comic book cover, a TV show title screen, and 2 band posters. So for the design on the right, I was very inspired by the comic series, The Umbrella Academy. Coming up with characters and stories is something that I like to do for fun. So it was really cool to put that interest to use and create something for this internship. And the poster on the left was just some sort of fantasy mythical creature kind of TV show. I'm not really sure. These are just 2 little characters that I came up with and thought they would be interesting to implement into this internship using the methods and ideas that we've learned about so far. And for those 2 other pieces, I chose to create posters advertising a tour for one of my favorite bands, 21 Pilots. It was a ton of fun to look at and analyze the aesthetics of the band already and their albums to create a poster that seemed like it really fit in with the band's theme. So these 2 I had a ton of fun with. So for all of the designs, I used Canva, which is a design website. And all of the art I did with using Ibis Paint X. So it was just a lot of fun. And for the very, very final assignment, we were tasked with answering 3 questions. Something that I've learned about myself during this internship is that when I'm presented with new work, I really like to get it done as soon as possible so that I don't get overwhelmed. And I found that because of that, I'm also able to work within deadlines without feeling too rushed. And I also found that when I am really interested in what I'm doing, it definitely improves my work ethic. And I'm definitely a lot more excited and ready to work for something that if I'm really interested in. Something that I've learned outside of myself is that working with people has gotten a lot easier. And that might be because I've been going to a project-based school for the past 5 years, or maybe it's just something that I've grown to get better at. And this internship has shown me that work isn't really that much different from school, in the sense that it's just people working together to reach the same goal. And I've really learned a lot about what it's like to work as a graphic designer through this internship. And hopefully this experience will make it a little easier for me to find a job that I really like and be a little bit more aware of what to expect. And based on the things that we've learned about design and keeping things looking nice, I've actually found myself really scrutinizing about my own artwork and looking at it and going, does this look right? Is this balanced? So I can definitely see a difference in the way that I look at my own art after this internship.
Excellent. One of the most important things I wanted to say to you, Isabella, is you obviously came into this with some chops. And I think that that's always the case when we have any kind of interns. Like, what are we going to get? Are we starting at 0? Are we starting at -4? And you came in with skills and also some tools that you already had. And I just am so glad that the experience was able to honor you as well, and that you were able to find a lot of value and offer a lot of value to the group. And I think that that's really important, especially when we were in like breakouts and giving each other feedback and learning to be peer kind of critiquers and mentors. That's really, really an important skill set in any industry, in the creative world for sure. And so awesome. Really, really great having you.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we want to try and go back to Elena? I know she's back in the meeting. I think we can try and go back there.
It's up to Elena.
long
I don't know.
All right, let's try, Elena. Okay.
Wait.
Elena, what? Would you like to start do it now, or do you want to maybe like go last? It's up to you.
We could do it now.
All right.
Let's see. All right, so week 1, let me start over. Week 1 is a picture of the Bellflower Stillcraft. I live in Bellflower, and yeah, it was a postcard of my city, and I think it's nice. So I'm happy that I got that picture. Let's see. And this was like a mood board of like stuff that I like. I don't know if I did a good job on this one though. I could have done better. My first try was definitely worse than this, but at least I did something. I'm happy. Just, no, I'm actually not that happy about this one. And for week 3, I chose to do the website for Innovative Technology Education Funds. So right here I have the postcard for their website, and I just put some of their information down. And yeah, I'm sorry, I'm trying to calm down. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're doing great. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you're doing great.
All your work has been beautiful.
I'm sorry.
Don't even worry about it.
Okay, thanks. And for week 4, this is like the week where we like got to choose what we wanted to do. So I was like trying to do t-shirt designs, and I was like going for simple t-shirt designs, and of course I had to do one for Daft Punk because like I've been a huge fan of them for a long time. So I did Daft Punk from 1993 to 2001, and I like and then I tried to do a simple design with like the cat drinking boba, and I just thought it was cute. So like I was just trying to do t-shirt designs, and honestly I could have done better on this one too. But I had fun with these projects. So. And okay, the first question is, what have you learned about yourself? During this internship, I feel like I learned that that I can improve, and like I already knew that I had a lot to improve on, but I just learned like what I could improve on, like more specifically, and I also learned that I really need to try managing my time better when I have projects, because like during this internship I was also doing summer school, and I was really struggling with like doing like summer school and this at the same time, so I really need to work on that too. And it's, what have you learned outside of yourself? I just learned like it was cool to see like everyone's designs and how creative everyone is, and just learning from other people how like I could improve in my work too. So that was really cool. And how will this affect me going forward? I I think I'll like now I know how to work with people better, like in groups, and know how to receive like what is it called? Like how to receive I forgot what I was gonna say. How to like ask for help when I need it, and how to like receive like the feedback and like improve. So,
Thank you so much, Elena. I know it can be like so nerve-wracking, and I think one of the reasons we want these experiences for you is not just to learn a skill set, but to learn to share your learning about something. And that's what today was about, and I think we saw it. And I think I know it feels like pressure, and people are watching, and we're on YouTube, and who knows who's going to watch it on YouTube. Right? Like, shout out my mom, right? Because she probably will see this on YouTube. And I think learning to do this is such a powerful experience. And so thank you so much, like, for working at things and trying things that you don't know anything about, and you're just going for it. That's an important learning experience. And it's been wonderful working with you.
Elena, I'm so proud of you. I know you had so many technical difficulties with like trying to practice and stuff, so I'm so proud that you were able to do it even without a lot of practice under your belt. But you did such a good job. I love all of your work, and I totally relate to the feeling of, oh, I could have done this better. This isn't as pretty as I wanted it to be. So everyone feels that way, and all your work is done really well, and I can see the improvement. And even throughout your presentation, it was very nice to hear your voice get louder as you started talking about the work that you were so passionate about, especially like the Daft Punk and the adorable cat with the clouds. I was so glad to see it. You did an amazing job. Everyone did an amazing job.
Yeah, for sure. All right, thank you, Elena. Next up, we have Stella, and I know time-wise, we got to like try and stick to that 5 minutes or less if we can, just so we make sure we get done. So Stella's up, and if you aren't watching the chat on our side, there's some shout outs and celebrations that are happening for some of you, so check it out.
Am I good to go? Okay.
Yep, you're good to go.
Hi, I'm Stella, and This is week 1 and 2. So like the first 2 weeks, it was more of like an introduction. So we did stuff based on ourselves to get to know each other better. So the first week, we kind of made a postcard based off where we live. So I did Glendale, California. I really like this postcard. I made it really quick, but I think it turned out great. And we also got feedback from a partner, which was really helpful. And then for week 2, it was kind of fun. We got to take stuff we like. So I did my dog, and then my favorite albums, the ukulele, because I play the ukulele, and then Spotify and headphones because I'm wearing headphones almost all the time and listening to music. So my original artwork, I don't know where that went. I think I accidentally deleted it, but it was similar to this, but here, like, this is like the final product. So Alani gave some feedback to all of us, which was really helpful. So that was before the revision. So yeah, I feel like I could have done a little better on this, but I think it looks cool. Yeah. Next slide. So week 3, we did a little like kind of lesson or a little like worksheet. So this is like a self-care worksheet from the School of Design at Stanford, which was really cool. And then we did a lesson on negative space color theory, color values, and contrast. I've heard of these before, but it was a good refresh to help with the design skills. And then we got to choose a website. So I did ITEF. So based off their website, I made a postcard front and back, and then like a story social media post, and then the little square is like a regular social media post. I actually really like it. I took the colors from the website and then applied it to the design here. And then for the logo, I didn't just like copy and paste it. I put it into Photoshop and kind of traced around and kind of built it myself so it looks the same, but I tried to build it to look like the logo. Next slide. Week 4 is personally my favorite because we had a lot of creative freedom. We could do anything. So there were some ideas I had, and the inspiration for my poster. So I did a concert poster for Conan Gray. So I had like 2 different versions of it. Didn't know which one I liked better, so I put both of them. I used Photoshop for this, so I got the text, I warped it, and added some cool effects. And then for the design 2, I originally wasn't going to put it there, but I feel like I needed to add one more. So also Conan Gray themed. I put his name, and then songs from his new album, and Into the Shape of a Rose, since the album is like based around roses. So I really liked this week. It was really fun. And I spent a little too long on this, but it was fine in the end. I really like it. Next slide. So here are the questions we had to answer in the end. So something I learned about myself is that I work fast if I'm motivated by something I really like. And we only had like a few days to work on each project, which wasn't too bad, but I found it easy to work within the time limit because I enjoy making stuff in graphic design, so it wasn't too bad. And I kind of have like this tunnel vision when I'm working in like Photoshop or Canva. Like I just keep working. I don't procrastinate with this. Any other stuff I do procrastinate with. So for what I've learned outside myself is that everyone has like so many different styles, and it's easy to like, I can be inspired by other people. If I have no ideas, I look at other people and say, oh, this is cool. And I kind of build my idea off that. And everyone had something good to say about other people's work. No one was mean, or like when we gave feedback, it was nice feedback. So it's like, oh, you can change this a little, but overall it's a really good idea. And then how will this internship affect me going forward? I am in my photography pathway at my school, so this will help me a lot to advance my skills and to build my AP portfolio. So I definitely see myself working more in this, and then hopefully majoring this in college. And that's it.
Incredible work. I want to just point out one thing, and I know we need to move on. Stella, or not everybody else, I hope you caught that she did some kind of like prospect, design for an organization called ITEF. I hope you heard her that she didn't just copy their logo, but she recreated it by hand. Which I think like the term is like that's extra, to like go to that extent. But I think it showed the amount of care you have for this. And when I first saw your design for your personal project, I was blown away. And like in a different side of my life, I like to play music. And I was like, this is the kind of person that I would want designing for me. Like this is somebody who I think would honor the creativity of another artist in a collaboration. Just an incredible like portfolio. And when we get to the end of the showcase, Alani, when we get to the end, I want to just zoom out and show the whole portfolio of work. So folks who are watching, like we're going to show you in a second, like after we get through everybody else in a few minutes, just like the actual scope of the group's work. And Stella, if we saw your process, I know what you did. And if we like watched a screen capture of it, I think that folks would be like, what? Like just the amount of work is immense. And so, bravo to you.
Thank you.
All right. I think we have Valerie up next. Is that correct? We do. Alani's on it.
Hi, my name is Valerie, and for the first week, we had to create a postcard of our city, and we're kind of like introducing ourselves to the internship. So I used a photo that I took because I am a photographer, and that's something that I do. So I thought it's like something personal, and I chose to keep like a minimalistic design with the Downey California, and I really like this design. For the second week, I feel like this is actually like one of my favorite designs I've ever created. We got to create like something that represents us, I guess, in the way we think. And I created this mood board, and I used kind of like a earth toned like palette because like personally I like those colors. And so I try to incorporate that in my design. And this took me like a long time because I created the eye like all out of like rectangles. But I think it looks kind of cool and like organic looking. So yeah. For the third week, I created this postcard and social media post for Parks and Recreation, and I used a green color palette. Well, because I like green, but also because when I think of like Parks and Recreation, I think of like green because like of nature and stuff. My original design, it wasn't really cohesive. Like the postcard and the social media post weren't cohesive, and I feel like that's important to be cohesive, especially in a company. So after like learning about color theory, I feel like this design looks much better and more cohesive than my original design. For the fourth week, we got to create anything we wanted, and I decided to create like a mock magazine, and it's like a lot harder than I realized it was going to be. And my initial design, I didn't really like it, and I feel like it wasn't very sophisticated and kind of lackluster. So I spent like a long time creating this one on the right, and I really like this design, and I took all those pictures, and I'm personally really proud of it. And yeah. So this is a reflection, and what I have learned about myself is that I really like tapping into the creative side and like creating new projects. I feel like it allows me to like, I don't know, be myself, because I don't have time to like do projects like this with school and stuff. So I really enjoyed that. And what have I learned outside myself is that graphic design can be a really long process, especially for me, because I just don't stop until it's like perfect in my eyes. But I feel like the outcome is definitely rewarding. And this internship will affect me moving forward because I want to look at more opportunities that have to do with graphic design and art, because I feel like I don't do a lot of that at school, and I want to focus more on that for sure as a hobby. Yeah.
Awesome, Val. Thank you. I'm so glad you were a part of this. I think when you did that first project, and then when I heard it was a photo you had taken, because the photo is like a drop dead, like people pay for prints of photos like that. And the simple way that you're like, I'm doing this to this, and it looks really good. And a few of you kind of had that like aesthetic sense of like, I'm going to do this, boom. And I'm like, okay, we've got something to work with. And it was like exciting because I didn't know any of you to get going, you know, at first. And I'm just really glad the experience was able to complement the artist that you already are and kind of nudge you to continue. So it's been just amazing. And again, the meticulous nature, using rectangles to create an eye. What the heck? It's like the least rectangular thing that exists. And I love it. I just love it. And you're getting a lot of shout outs on the YouTube, so you're gonna have to go check that out. I don't know if you're watching it, but you're gonna have to go check it out.
Yeah, I see it. Thank you guys.
All right, where are we at? I think we're at Amy's. All right, Amy, welcome. Can't wait to hear from you.
Hi. So for the first week, we were told to use a picture of a location that was in our city. So for that first week, I decided to use Downey Library, a picture of Downey Library. It was remodeled and I wanted to use it because the outside looks stunning after they remodeled it. And it was, I used that to also learn how to use Canva and Miro for the first time. So I added cute little stickers because I like making a lot of my artwork, a lot of my projects when I do creative things look really cute and aesthetically pleasing. And that was week 1. And for week 2, we were told to use things we like to make a new design with the colors and the shapes that were there. So on the left is my first design that I did, which I got feedback to make it better, make it more interesting by changing up the layout of it. And so I did that for week 2. And then moving on to week 3, I got a lot of feedback for this one because I chose California Departments of Parks and Recreation for the social media post and postcard design I wanted to make. And I got a lot of feedback on how to make it better and less boring. Because for these first designs, they came out really boring because I really didn't know what to do because we were designing for a business, not for ourselves. So I just thought of slapping it on, but I got feedback on how to make it better, which I can show for the next section, please. So for section 2, I made it better. I made it more pleasing to the eye and like more focused on, like I just made it look better pretty much. Especially for the social media posts, I really like that, how I made that turn out. It's like still simple, but still to the point. And that was week 3. I made a lot of changes to that. And then finally for week 4, we had a lot of freedom. And I just wanted to work with something that I really like, which is my cat Milo. I didn't know whether to make a bookmark or a calendar, but I thought if I make a calendar, there's just going to be too many pictures and I can't decide on just 12. So I just went with one cute picture I found of him and decided to pick a cute background and just make that for my final design. And what I learned from this going forward and from this internship is that I really enjoy graphic design. Overall, I like designing things. I like, even though it's different from traditional art, which is what I'm used to, I really learned about myself that I enjoyed it. And I've learned outside of myself that it's challenging along with the other challenges I had to deal with. That I had summer school and a lot of other personal issues, but I still enjoyed pursuing and persevering in this. And this will affect me going forward and wanting to become a graphic designer later on as a career, whether it be freelance or work for a company.
Great, Amy. Thank you so much. And I think you named something there, and I know it's not always easy to kind of admit when things were hard. I think it's important that we name that. You did have a lot going on, and I know you mentioned some personal challenges, and I think that perseverance is a superpower. And I hope you hold on to that still being able to finish projects and still be able to, I was gonna say sit here. I don't know if you're standing or sitting, whatever you're doing, with your work on the screen for the world to see, is a powerful experience. And so thank you so much for really sticking with it and getting through even when it was tough.
Thank you.
All right, Andrea. I think you're up. All right, ready to go.
Okay. So I start whenever?
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hi, my name is Andrea, and I go to the DUSD School District, and I'm going to be a senior at Warren. Yeah. Okay. Everyone's already talked about what we've done the past couple of weeks in graphic design. That's okay. I'm not going to do that. I just want to talk about what I've learned over the past couple of weeks and my thought process through everything, because there's a lot that I uncovered. There's a lot I uncovered about myself, and it's both really annoying and very enlightening in a sense. And the one thing I've learned about myself is that I overthink a lot, which I know everyone overthinks. It's just a human natural thing that we do. But it's really annoying when you only have a few days to do something and your brain just keeps going like, this is bad, this is bad, this is very bad. Why did you do this? So like the top 3 I did, those took me days to do. Like I would just go into Miro, put them in, come back like 2 hours later and think, why is it look horrible? So that was very annoying and not very good for me when I'm just panicking all the time. Next slide, please. Thank you. This is an example of my overthinking. This, I very much hate this. Not hate is a strong word. Like it's better than it was on the left side. Now the left side is where I started. Right side is where I ended up with. I don't like either. I think they could have been better, but I did what I have what I have. This is where I overthought the most, I would say, throughout this entire internship, because I just kept thinking, this is very, really bad. I went through like 7 other designs. I'm not joking with this because I kept thinking this is really bad. Elias just now, he told me it was bad, and I took it seriously and helped me a lot, especially with especially Mike and Alani. They gave me feedback too. I leaned into a disillusion theme that they were saying, which I really liked. But I learned a lot from this, mainly that outside of myself, that there are other things out there, like other ideas, other inspirations, other people who have different styles than mine that are amazing and wonderful, and you can take ideas from them. Not steal, you take ideas and just not restrain yourself to something, because I was restraining myself a lot because of this, and that's what I learned. I learned not to like hold myself back to just one specific idea and just like go all crazy with it. Not crazy, but in a sense, like you are not stuck to one thing. It's just after I learned everything, after not to overthink, not restrain myself. I love these. I think they're amazing. I think they're wonderful. I love these. I love them. I had so much fun. I just kind of learned, and I just kind of told myself to do whatever, because we're allowed to do whatever for this. So I just like let my brain loose and did whatever I wanted. But I also took some things that I learned from the last one, which is week 2, and just put them in here. Like I didn't use as many colors because I knew they would clash if I added too many. And I just did something I was comfortable with. I hand drew both of these. It's very fun, very challenging, because I didn't do trees or anatomy for that matter. And I just put, and it was very fun creatively because I got to do little details and little details and like, yeah, I would do little details, add things, tell a story through this. And it was very fun. So thank you for listening to me ramble for probably more than 5 minutes. So yeah.
It wasn't more than 5 minutes, and you weren't rambling. You were kicking ass at that. That's what you were just doing.
Thank you.
I think we could go into all your work and people would see beautiful things that you created, and that's fine. But the beautiful things you created are just a trick to get you to have that moment to talk about your own learning. I know you've been on the edge of like even feeling emotional about it sometimes, and like the doubt feelings about things. I hope this is at least one summer for a few weeks of exercising a muscle in you for that last thing you said, which was, I just needed to, you said something about shutting something up, and then you said something about like doing the thing you wanted to do, right? And it's a liberatory thing, it's a freeing thing, right? And getting rid of something that's oppressive to your identity and your personality so that you can pursue something that actually might add to and celebrate who you are and the way that you see things is really, really powerful. And that's what art's supposed to be about. It's supposed to like inspire us. It's supposed to make us notice something like, oh, that speaks to me and who I am, or that makes me have to think something about other people and the way they might be. I hope it has served you well, because you do create beautiful things. Nobody would ever say you don't. And when you had those last couple of things you created, I mean, that's stunning work. It's just beautiful.
Thank you.
All right. Gonna keep going. Isabelle, you're next.
All right, I'm here. Hello, my name is Isabelle Park, and this is what I've worked on for the last few weeks. And for my postcard, I really wanted to express myself and like my identity on really who I am. So I come from Downey, and also I enjoy like pastel colors and like cute objects a lot. So I kind of just put the two together to create this postcard, which I feel like personally really shows the things I like and who I am. So yeah. For the second project, I created a palette, like a color palette using things that I like, and I use those colors to create kind of like this geometric style design. I use hearts because I really like the heart like shape, and so I try to create movement through the balloon flying away and the hearts like moving in a left motion to kind of make it look like the balloon's like flying away, and there's like a wind just like blowing it. For my original draft, I changed the colors of the balloon and the gray heart on the bottom because the gray heart stood out way too much and the balloon flying away didn't stand out as much. And so changing those colors, it looks a lot better now, and the balloon becomes a central focus while the gray heart doesn't stick out as much. So here I created these postcards and a social media posts for the California Department of Parks and Recreation. On the top left-hand corner, there's my first draft of like the front of the postcard. And I think it looks okay, but the color block on the back of California Department of did look a little tacky, and the Parks and Recreation title area got a little, it just didn't look very good. So I changed it by removing that block of color behind that and just putting a white like wash over the background, so colors would dull out and the title would pop out more, and I think it looks better now. And for the back of the postcard and the social media post, I did try to keep the logo colors very involved throughout the entire postcard and social media posts. So yeah. For the last project, I made a book cover for a hypothetical book. This book does not exist. And I really like reading books, so this was a very fun thing for me to do. And I really enjoy fantasy or like ancient, like old themed book covers with like bold titles. And so I used those books, as you can see, those 3 books as like inspiration to create this cover. Okay. On this slide, on the last slide, there was supposed to be some text there about like what I learned about myself, but I don't know what that text went, sorry. But I learned that I think I can take and apply criticism really well. And a lot of the things that I fixed on my projects were things that people told me that I should change. And I took all of that really seriously. And I think it looks a lot better. So I learned the importance of criticism. And I also learned that I definitely need better time management skills because when you're designing things, time can pass by very quickly. What I learned outside myself is that there's a lot that goes on in graphic design and like creating aesthetically pleasing designs. And so there's like a lot you have to think about, and it's like the little things that you have to think about. And so what I learned and what I'm gonna do after this internship is that I'm definitely gonna pay attention more to smaller details, because smaller details are really what makes everything count and makes like the bigger things stand out more. So, yeah, thank you.
And thank you, Isabelle. That I just want to echo, you had a shout out in our chat here on our Zoom that the cover is brilliant and it looks like something right off a shelf somewhere. I was thinking like somebody should just take that ghostwriter name. I can't remember what it was, but it was like, that sounds like a perfect like secret name, and somebody becomes that author or something. Thank you for just bringing like personality more than anything. I think from that first time we did sort of like the mood board, design board kind of thing, and it was very playful. Even your like bears and pastels on the very, very first assignment, I knew, all right, you're going to bring your whole self and you're going to bring your personality and not be afraid. And I think that helped a lot for all of us to getting to know each other and everything. It was really, really helpful to have some of you who are like, I'm ready, let's go. I'm not afraid of anything. And that fearless personality really was a powerful part of what we did. So thank you so much. All right, following Isabelle, we've got Leanne, some Glendale pride.
Should I start now?
Yep, as soon as you're ready.
Okay. Hello, my name is Leanne. And for our first project, we created a character of ourselves and then an introductory postcard for where we're from. I'm from Glendale, so I took a picture from the Americana, which is a shopping complex in Glendale. And then I put it on Canva to add the text and then the images of the animals at the bottom. For our second project, we compiled images of our interests. So for me, that would be like listening to music and reading books. And then we used those images to create a color palette. And then using that color palette, we created the postcard on the right. And we also created this on Canva. For our third project, we had to choose between 2 companies to create postcards and social media posts for. So I chose ITEF, which stands for Innovative Technology Education Fund. I created a front and back side for the postcards and then 2 social media posts. I try to use more reds and greens since those are the colors used in their logo. And the pictures and all the information is from their website. This was a bit hard because I wasn't really quite sure where I was going to go with this at the beginning, but I think it came out the way I had envisioned.
For the fourth project, we were able to do pretty much whatever we wanted. So I took inspiration from some things I saw on Pinterest. So the first one is inspired by some magazines I saw, and the second one is inspired by tickets. And I wanted to be something like a resume, so I included information about my education and some softwares I use for graphic design. My reflection, I learned that I can manage my time well. I was doing summer school in addition to this internship. And so I had to manage my time to do work for both. I've also realized I can work on a tight deadline. Sometimes we would have a project due in like 2 days. And we often give critique to each other in our meetings. So I learned that I can work with other people. And outside of myself, I learned the design styles of the other graphic design interns and some fundamentals of designs that Alani presented about. Going forward, I think I gained a bigger understanding of the world of graphic design, and I'll take what I've learned in my time at Bea Group with me into future workplaces.
All right. Thank you, Leanne. Thank you so much. I think that's like the dream of what Bea Group wants to hear. I'm going to take these skills and I'm going to take them forward with me. And I hope it's not just design skills, but it's how we work, right? That's the goal. It's how we work. So good work. All right. Who do we have up next? Let's see. It's covered up on my screen. Colin. Is Colin in here?
Yep, I'm right here.
All right.
Alrighty. So well, my name's Colin, and so let's start off. So here, this was our first week, and we started as like, we're creating a postcard of where we lived, and like, it's sort of like showing like self-pride and just like the area or like part of California that I live in is Woodland, and I drive a motorcycle. So on the left, you see just the standard picture that's before I added effects. And here, like I said, I added a digital effects that sort of gave it that postcardy like effect, sort of almost like a painting. And then I added the things to the corner to make it look like a postcard, and then I added Woodland because that's where I live, and I think it's a great place to live. So that was like sort of simple, like first week design. All right, and here, Mike, I was wondering if you could click the second image or one of the images. Yeah, and just press number 2. On that corner up there. Awesome, thank you. All right. So, and then the second week we talked about just a bunch of different things like that we have in our life. So I live in Woodland, drive a motorcycle, perform at the Will Opera House, work at Starbucks. I like sunsets. So then I created this color palette right here, and I sort of went with more of the darker color scheme. And then basically I took all this and created sort of, it was the aspect that we were going for was to sort of have fun and like stick to sort of a color palette. Like I stuck with a darker color palette, and here I created, it was sort of like, I just had fun with it. But like here is like a sunset, as like you see the darker colors, and then it's a dark red and like stars and like the moon and like planet. So I don't know, I thought it was just like sort of a creative aspect that I took. All right, as I talked about a little bit before, color theory, I stuck with a darker color palette right here, and then exactly. And so here I went with the color theory of the darker aspect and with the darker like greens and reds and purples. All right, next. All right, and then here we were given an assignment to create a social media post and a postcard. So here on the right, I made a social media post, which is pretty simple, not too many words. As you like something just like you're scrolling through social media, doesn't take too long, not much of your time. Just it gets to the point, very basic, has a nice image and the California State Parks logo. And then here on the left, there's more of a postcard. And I centered it all to the left where it starts with the image, and then also all the lettering is towards the left. So that was definitely the aspect I took just to make it like seem more organized. And here I go a little bit more in depth in explaining what the California Department of Recreation does and just like the program itself, but not too like going into detail because you don't need to have all that. Sometimes having less words is better than having more words on postcards. Right. All right. And then for my last assignment, I did this flyer. I decided to make like an advertisement flyer. So I took really simple, but again, it looks nice. And I just took like a lot of different effects, just with like circles, squares, and like having the more brighter end of the color, like we talked about like color theory a little bit. So I decided to stuck with more brighter colors here. And then I got some images off the internet and basically made this as my final project, which is a power washing flyer. And then, okay, at the end, what I learned about myself, I had a lot of fun with this and just sort of having like a creative aspect and realizing and just sort of like honing in that creative aspect and just sort of sometimes just letting go and having fun. And then what I learned outside of myself, I learned a lot about just like the work environment and just like working with others and taking in other people's feedback and their perspective on like my piece. And then how it will affect me going forward. Well, this gives me definitely a look onto the graphic design and what it actually entails, and working with others, and also having a lot of time to work by yourself. So sort of having that self-motivation, and which was this project gave me like a good aspect of that. And now like I know a lot more about graphic design. So if I want to do that a career path, this is something I could choose.
And thank you, Colin. And again, I love that you talked about freeing yourself. I know you weren't so free all the time during this experience. And so finding ways to stay engaged and get it done when I know you had a lot going on is really, really important. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
We got Maddie coming up next. And we're going to keep moving along. Try and stay on time here.
So hi, I'm Maddie King, and so our first project was to make this postcard of where we live, and I'm from Davis, California. I tried to add some things about like what Davis is kind of famous for, like a bike or like a cow. On the right is our project that was to make a design based off some things that we like. So first I made a mood board, which is on top, and then I made a color palette using this. And then on the bottom is my design that I came up with. I try to make it look kind of bubbly and fun. And on the next slide is a postcard that we made. For this project, we were tasked with making postcards and social media posts about an organization, and I chose the Outdoor Equity Grants Program. So I tried to incorporate the colors of the logo into my design, like the yellow and the blue. And so I also try to use nature-related graphics like the trees and the river, which are at the bottom. On the left is my first draft of the postcard, but then after learning from a co-designer, Elena, and from hearing feedback from other interns, I revised my design by adding another cover page at the front and changing some of the font colors and styles. So on the next page is my social media post. I kind of stick with the same theme that I used for my postcard, but then I know that one of the things that Elena taught us was to try to avoid like using white and black. So I changed the white to green, and then I also changed the black to blue to make it a little bit more like fun to read, I guess. And I like how it kind of matches the nature theme, so I put a little earth in the corner of the second page. And then lastly, on the next slide is my final project. For my final project, I want to make like a magazine spread, like kind of like a fashion magazine spread. So for the first one, I used Clip Studio Paint to draw this. And then I added the text also after that. For the second one, I drew the picture in Clip Studio Paint, and then I brought it into Canva where I added like the text on top and some of the graphics like the polar bear and butterfly. So I was able to use some of the design principles from that I learned through this internship to make this, like color theory and some spatial balance. And then lastly, on the left side is my reflection. So what have I learned about myself? I kind of learned about like my interests, what I like to design, and what I like to draw. I also learned that I'm not really the best at working in virtual settings, so like I would have to like set time with some meetings and like reminders for, oh, I should do this, which assignments I needed to do. From what I learned outside of myself, I think I learned a lot from the people like my lead and co-designer, because they gave us like feedback, critiques, and also Alani taught us about some design principles. I also learned from my fellow interns by hearing feedback also, and it was really interesting, I think, to see like everyone's work on the mirror board, because everybody had like such a different style. I thought it was really cool. And for affecting my going forward, I think I can use the design skills that I gained in my everyday life, like clubs and school projects and presentations. I also gained experience from having a job and working in a virtual environment, so I'm using like Microsoft Teams and communicating with others.
Yeah, I hope you all realize how incredible those illustrations were. Like, just beautiful. I think that was the first work I had seen in our like run-throughs where I was like, oh, okay, this showcase is gonna be fine. Wow. And so thank you again. Just I'm glad the experience in some way honored the talent you already brought to the table. So really, really great. Thank you, Maddie. Ray, you're up next.
Okay, so wait, can you hear me? Okay, so this was the first assignment given to us on week 1. It's like a postcard of like where we live, and I misinterpreted the rules. So I went like way too simple. I pretty much just put like text and a filter over like an image, and I was supposed to like put like stickers and stuff like over it, which I forgot and I did not know. So I would definitely do this better today if I were to do it again. So I'm not really too proud of this one. And for week 2, yeah, this one. So this one I think I also misinterpreted, but not as badly. So it's basically like a bunch of like geometric shapes, which is like why the sun is like a perfect like circle, and like the buildings are just like which is squares for the windows, and the buildings are just like rectangles. I think I was supposed to make this more abstract, like the other interns did, where like the shapes kind of aren't really like cohesive and they're just kind of like around. So I think I messed up mine, but because mine are like it's like way too much like a landscape, but it's okay, I guess. For week 3, we did week 3. So this one we did a social media post and I think a postcard. I think so. I think it was. And then I chose California state parks because I really approve of their message and their goal. So the first one on the left is the postcard thing, I think. And so I use a lot of what we learned during graphic design, which is like hierarchy and like color theory. Like I really like the first picture where it's like kind of like the image is like in the background and then titles like popping up out of nowhere with like the little logo on the bottom corner. And to the right of that is a social media post. And I really like the first slide that I made, which is like ripped directly from this website. And I put like the title over it. And I made sure all the colors match with like the website and what they would actually use. So that's why I try to make it like look really official and like it was actually made by the website and like what they would do if they were to make something like this. For week 4, I chose like a book poster, I think, like a book cover. And this one, I'm kind of disappointed in myself. I kind of ran out of time and I rushed myself, and so that's why it's really simple. It's basically just like an outline of a person with like a little splash in the background. It's way too simple and like minimalistic. I would definitely do this better today, but I think it's okay, I guess. Oh no, I moved it. Uh, this one I would definitely use like more complex like shapes and textures, definitely like more colors, because this is just too simple, kind of boring. For I guess week 5, it's more of like a personal project. The next slide, yeah, this one. So this one wasn't really an assignment. It's more so of just like a personal project that I chose to make. So this is fully hand drawn, like with a drawing tablet. It's like a reef, like little highlights and shading. I made this in Adobe Animate, which isn't normally like a drawing software. It's made for like animation, but I don't know why. I just like drawing in that. It's like the brushes are really good to use. So this one, I took like actual references from like real life reefs, particularly the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, I think. So this one, I made it because I really wanted to practice my landscape design, and I think it turned out okay. I'm not too sure. And for what I learned, so what have I learned about myself during this internship? It's definitely how to take criticism and use other examples of graphic design that other people did to inspire me, and to basically take examples from that and to come up with my own work from other people's work. What have I learned outside of myself is graphic design techniques such as color values, hierarchy, and the composition of a piece. How this will affect my wait, what was the question? Oh, how will this affect me going forward is how it definitely taught me how to work in like a social workplace, and definitely taught me like experience using graphic design software. And that's it.
All right, Ray. I'm going to challenge you because here's what I saw. When you didn't have ownership of it, you kind of struggled through it. And when you turned it into something you loved and you were proud of and you wanted to explore, look at what you created at the end. Like obviously the skill and the like passion and the commitment to making something greater there. And so let it be known what you're interested in. No matter what you're going into, let it be known. I'm interested in this. I have this new tool. I want to play with it. Because that is obviously an incredible skill you have. And the second thing is you can reflect without being negative. You don't have to be negative about yourself to reflect. Right? Lead us to the end, because the end was beautiful work. So point to, I got somewhere. I didn't necessarily connect it all the time to what my experience during the internship was, but I got somewhere. And so you'll see I wrestled through this, I wrestled through this, and then look at where I got at the end. All right, Ray?
I also want to chime in and say that we never really gave you much instruction regardless. Like we never said like, oh, it has to be abstract. Oh, it has to be stickers on the postcard. It was just like you had free reign to do whatever you wanted. And I think what you produced is fine work just as it is. So you took it wherever you wanted to take it. And I think it's all lovely.
Thank you, Elias. All right, Elias. Oh, he's shocked. He's surprised. He's ready. He's good. He's good. He's ready for it.
Hi, my name is Elias Morales, and this is my presentation. So, of course, the first project was to create a postcard from where we're from. And although I do go to a Downey school, I'm from Linwood. And so I thought we have two major, like, I guess, marks in our city. And the first one would be a water tower. But the one I really like is our clock tower. That's why I picked it. I think it like really symbolizes it. It symbolizes Linwood a lot. And that's the picture without any edits on top. And on the bottom are my edits. I created a little stamp on the bottom left, like a usual postcard would have. And I thought, let's make it look like Hollywood, but Linwood style. So I had it like on top of the clock tower, making it look like, Hollywood, but instead it's Linwood. And in the bottom, there's just some knights fighting because that's the mascot of our school. Our second project was to create kind of ads for a program, and the program I chose was the Outdoor Equity Grants Program. And honestly, this one like teared me up really badly. I couldn't figure out what colors to use, what pictures to use, especially. But I came up with my social media post on the left side. I thought it should be very minimal with, you know, bright colors because that's usually how a social media post is. And then a postcard on the right that has more information, better ways to contact, and more cartoony. I wanted the left side to be more realistic and the right side to be more, you know, animated, cartoony, childish, like that. Oh, did I have these not in order? I think I don't remember if I did. But this was our other, let's just say this is our other project that we were supposed to create an image from using colors from our things we like. And I chose, you know, my sport, school, gaming device, and favorite anime. And I thought of creating, since my colors were a lot more darker, I thought of creating more of a evil, you know, scary space type. So that's why I have the eyes. It's very black and a weird wizardy something going on towards the middle. And I had to do this like 3 different times just because Alani told me I didn't have a really focal point. The colors were kind of misleading you everywhere. So I had to change this a couple of times, but that's my final project, final draft. And thank you, Alani, again for having us our lessons. I talk to Alani a lot. I always ask her for help and everything. But these are some lessons she just went over. The main one I got from it was negative spacing. She realized that a lot of my, well, Mike too, not to discredit both of them, but she realized that a lot of my projects weren't really evened out or didn't have a sort of focal point. And that's also what helps with color values and contrast, is to make sure that the colors you do use go with each other, and to make sure that the color that you're using, that you want to, let me rephrase that. The color you want to, my bad, the image you want to use is a very like expressive color. And then for our final project, I'm of course a volleyball player, and I wanted to go simple first for the first idea, and I wanted to do a logo for like a beach volleyball team. And I came up with my Beach Rats Volleyball Club. And then to add onto that logo, I decided to do a website. Now you can't interact with the website, but that's just how the website would look, with different links and sponsorships. And then it would be like, the picture would be a slideshow of different pictures of games that we have. And things I learned about myself were I suck at time management. I'm not gonna lie. Half of the projects I finished like a couple hours before the due date or the night of the due date. But I'll try to better myself. And outside of myself, I really did learn how to like interact with my, not my peers, but my older peers. Like my manager, like a kind of a manager, or how to pretty much ask for help and how to work on making my projects better. And I think this is all going to help me going forward, and especially in my animation, because I'm more of an animator than I am a graphic designer. I think this is really going to help me really pick out what colors I need to use to make sure it looks really smooth and not really tacky. Thank you all. I'm sorry I messed up a couple times.
That's all right. No apologies. I was going to say, one of the things I loved about you, Elias, is that you kind of stopped apologizing after a while. At the beginning, you were kind of like, the first couple of weeks, I'm so sorry, I need a little bit of help. And eventually, you were more confident, like, am I on the right track? like, is this what we were thinking? And I think those are much more, that's like a much more professional presence, right? Than, I think it sucks. You started to switch to just like, no, I need some feedback because I'm trying to get this done, which is much more what we we're hoping for. And I know Alani agrees. Like, it was never too much to ask to go to a breakout room and get some help. Like, that was never too much. That's what we were trying to do. So
Yeah,
really appreciate it. I also just want to say you were one of the most positive, celebratory like peers for everybody who was a part of this. And I think every week you were one of the first people who was just mentioning how amazing somebody else's work was. And I think that there's like heads that were nodding right now. I don't know if you could see. And that helped a lot. It really did.
Also add on, I remember one day me and Alani spent like an hour, the whole meeting, just trying to fix one of my projects. So thank you so much, Alani.
I remember. All right, we're gonna move on to Deborah. Hi.
Hello. Okay, so hi, my name is Deborah Ferrer, and this is the process throughout the internship. So in week 1, I didn't really know what to do at all. But I wanted to be like more modern because I really like modern stuff. So I just put like a bold font, stuff like that. And I got like a lot of feedback. But the recent feedback that I really liked was like with one of the co-designers. And he said like to concentrate on the balance and the repetition, which I took advantage in week 2. So in week 2, it was like about ourselves, and I like flowers and just like vibrant colors, kind of cool and warm colors. So I tried to do like a background, and I tried to balance the colors and kind of make it bold, but like not too much objects and stuff like that. So I got a lot of feedback with Alani, and she said to try new things. So it kind of helped me a lot with week 3. So in week 3, I try to get out of my comfort zone. So I try to be more in a kid environment since I took like the Innovative Technology Education Fund. And before that, I had no idea what to do because this is like a company and stuff like that. So Alani's presentation helped me a lot to like use negative space and like change the colors, like saturation and stuff like that. So I really like this one because it made me feel positive by myself and like confident. So yeah. And then in week 4, I really did like this one too, because I got a lot of inspiration with like advertisements, and like the colors are vibrant, they're bold, and like I like the aesthetic in it. So I did like a website for like adventure and stuff like that, or like a lifestyle blog and stuff like that. So I really like this one, and I did use negative space and like color values to make it good and vibrant, stuff like that. So yeah. Oh yeah, I have to do that. So throughout the internship, I learned a lot of stuff, like give good feedback, and not only like give good feedback, but also like to improve on myself and to improve on my work, and also just to get out of my comfort zone and just to try new things. So it helped me a lot. So thank you.
Excellent, thank you. And I think you were one of the greatest at just taking feedback, and you can see it, right? You can see, oh, this is feedback we offered, and boom, we see changes happening. And so, yeah, thank you. An ideal intern.
Thank you so much.
All right, Angelina.
Okay, so hi, my name's Angelina, and so the first week was sort of like an introduction to introduce ourselves. And our first project was to get a picture from somewhere in the town where you live in. I'm from Downey, by the way. And we were supposed to play around with it and add things to make it look nice and fun. And I used Canva, so this project was also like an introduction for that. And so I chose my favorite park and added a bunch of cats because I really like cats. And I had a rough draft where I used green lettering, but I got feedback and I changed the font to white, which I thought made it look a lot better. So as you can see on the bottom right corner, that's how the final draft turned out. And so for week 2, it was also like a fun week to help us get to know each other better. And the project was to gather up pictures of things that you like and then make a color palette out of it. And so on the left, you can see those are the pictures I chose, and that's the color palette that I came up with. And on the right, you can see how my design turned out. And to be honest, I didn't really like it too much. I sort of had like art block that week, and it just didn't come out exactly like I had hoped, but I still think it's good. And so moving on to week 3, we were asked to make a postcard and social media post for one of 2 companies, and I chose to create them for state parks. And I really like these designs. I think they were pretty creative and they look nice, but there are some things where I could have used like different things, change some things to make them look better, like the colors, for example. But I still think they're pretty good. And so for week 4, we were asked to start working on our personal project, which was going to be our final project. And we were allowed to do basically anything we wanted. And on the left, I brainstormed some ideas like comic book cover, an album cover, a poster, etc. And you can see also there some of my inspiration. And so from that, I decided to make a album cover. You could see it there on the right. And to be honest, I didn't really like it because I used Canva and I just felt like it wasn't very original. Like, I just wasn't very passionate about it. And so since I didn't want this to be my final project, I decided to create a second one. So for week 5, I was able to finish designing a comic book cover. On the left, you could see those were some of my inspirations. And on the right, that's the cover that I designed. I drew it by hand on fire alpaca. And luckily I was able to finish it on time. And I like it a lot better than my original final project. I liked how it turned out. And I made sure to align everything and stick to a good color theme and made sure everything was balanced too. So yeah, I liked it. And so in conclusion, I learned that graphic design is really interesting to me, and it's a lot different than the art that I usually make. And I also learned that it's very useful to get criticism and feedback on your work because it really helps you grow and improve. And I learned a lot about graphic design and things like color theory, hierarchy, spacing, and overall just tips that can really help you organize and make your design look a lot better. And this is really helpful to me because I can use these things that I learned in this graphic design internship and apply them to any future art projects that I make. And not only the graphic design internship, the graphic design tips I learned, but also things like accepting criticism, making deadlines, using different online softwares, things like that. So all in all, this internship was really helpful to me for improving my skills as an artist and also as an employee in the workforce.
Incredible. And I just want to say, like, this is not the internship that helps produce that kind of work, but even you having some skills to evaluate and self-critique such talent that you have is amazing. And I don't know if there's somebody out there, maybe somebody on this Zoom and somebody in YouTube land, but get this comic art in front of something It's incredible, just incredible.
Thank you.
All right, where are we at? We're at Victoria.
Hi, I'm Victoria. I'm 17 years old and I'm an incoming senior at Warren High School. So week one, starting the internship, we were told to make a poster or a postcard of our hometown. My final draft is the one on the bottom, and as you can see, it's not the best out of all the ones that everyone else has shown. Mine's not organized, it's not balanced, and everything I added to make it the postcard blended in with the picture. And there was like no focal point to it. So I didn't really like how I started off the internship, but this was just the start of it all. In week two, we went more into creating something that was personal to us. By doing so, we took colors from things we like and started to design something that felt more personal. Also adding things we've learned like balance, and we also gave each other feedback. I liked how we incorporated things we liked into our design, also giving us a creative freedom. We all saw the differences between each other and our artistic views. I'm sorry. This week, in week three, we were told to do our own research on 2 companies that promote equality and self-care. Once we chose our company, we created a postcard front and back and 2 social media posts. These were all about what the company does and what it stands for. I chose the California Department of Parks and Recs because I love nature. It's healing and can help others get out of the house, especially after COVID. I've also learned how nature helps others more than I already knew. In week 4, we were asked to create things based on our own interest. I had chosen 2 options: book covers and album/song posters. I ended up choosing a song poster, and I did a poster based on my favorite song, Magic Shop by BTS. I created my Magic Shop and included one of the most meaningful comments, not just to me, but also other fans. For this poster, I learned color theory, and this design, I chose a pastel palette. I wanted to make this piece seem cute and welcoming because that's how the song feels to me. Lastly, my reflection. What have I learned about myself? I've learned that I'm a very artistic person, but I'm not the most organized. I would have some great ideas, but I never really knew how to balance them out or make them presentable most of the time. I overthink too much. I would create something and then I would overthink so much and think that no one would like it, and I would psych myself out and maybe change things over and over again. What have I learned outside of myself? Outside of myself, I've learned that everyone has an opinion on things. Like everyone has different, I like to say everyone has a different color palette or more or less different interests in things. And how will this affect me going forward? Going forward, I'll take others' feedback respectfully and gratefully. I wouldn't be here in this internship if not for those who gave me such great feedback, and I improved so much throughout the internship. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I love to talk about the others. I think that was one of my fears of doing everything virtually, is like how will we collaborate with each other, and naming the importance of seeing each other and learning from each other is super important. We have a couple more. Bryant is coming up next, then we'll end with Ashley. I believe is in here too. Yeah. All right, Bryant.
Hello, my name is Brian, and this is my presentation. On the first week, we were supposed to make some sort of like image or postcard of something near our home, and something that was around me that I grew up with was a park. So I decided to take that. On the left, we have the original picture of the park. It's usually just a really big field. They do have like 1 or 2 playgrounds there, but it's mostly just a field, and there would be a lot of dogs. So on the right, and the bottom specifically, was the first version of like my first attempt at ever graphic design at all. With feedback, I did add some borders and I moved around a few of the elements, but as a first one, I didn't really like it. So on top is a revamp that I did pretty recently. I changed the border and the text color, and the dog is now an outline instead. And it's not the best, but I feel like it is a better improvement than the one in the bottom. In the next slide, we were tasked to make a design out of our imagination from things that we liked. I enjoy playing games and drawing, so I took a couple things out of that. And I came out with like a warmer or a darker type of palette. And this gave me like the vibe of like calmness or relaxation. So I decided to end up making this design with those colors with the best of my ability, and with the flower outlines I hope to bring that like vibe of calmness a little stronger. In the third slide, we created postcards. I would have put in my first like rough draft examples, but I edit my things and I get rid of like things that I change for whatever reason. That's just how I am. So instead, on the left side, we have the front and the back of the postcard. For example, not for example, but like, and a change that happened is my spacing with the boxes wasn't the best, and with feedback that I got, the final product, which is the top left, is a little more organized, as the old one had like imperfect spacements, like some of them were too close to the border, some of them were too close to like other pictures, and it looked a little messy. And on the right side, we have the social medias of the postcard. Week 4, we were told to make designs out of all of our knowledge that we took in from like the past like 4 or 5 weeks. And growing up around books and music as well, this reminded me back in my middle school days when I worked in the library with a librarian. So I decided to make 2 book covers. On the top left, we have one called Loose, and on the top right, we have, not top right, but like right next to Loose is Fallen. These aren't like actual books. I just made these up with my mind, and I just took what ideas I had. And then the bottom is an attempt of an album cover, not of any person or like band in specific. I just ended up making one with dark colors. And on the very right is a very simplistic graphic design wallpaper that I didn't really like, but I just ended up adding it either way. For reflection, what I've learned about myself is that I have a little more creativity than I thought. Going into this, I didn't think that I would have like enough creativity to like make some designs that looked like that they really like stand out. I feel like I did improve, so that's always something good. And that simple is sometimes always better. As when I draw, I sometimes like to add a ton of stuff when I'm drawing, and it looks all junked up and messy. And another thing that I learned is that feedback from others is always great, and it's always important to take some if you have the chance. What I learned outside myself, almost anything can be taken and made into a design. Whether you feel like you should like promote something, you can always take a chance and be creative with it. And that spacing things is also important, because if not, then everything looks like a cluttered mess. How will this affect me going forward? I will look at things with a much more creative stance, as I feel like this really practiced my imagination and creativity in my mind. I will also make new ideas that aren't too much. So when I feel like something can be added with a little more, I might reduce the amount that I might add. And this will also affect me by getting feedback whenever I can in future projects and future work.
All right, thank you. And thank you again, naming feedback. I love that you had always in caps, right? Getting feedback from others is always helpful. And I know you didn't come in as someone who thought of yourself as a designer. And so it's great to have had you here to learn with us. And then the reflecting and saying that feedback is so important is super powerful. We're on to our last student intern, I think. That's so weird. And we're going to go. Ashley, you are up. Somewhere in here. Is she in here? Yes. Uh-oh, did we actually lose her? I'm not sure. Oh no.
No, I don't see an Ashley either, Mike. Did you have 2 Ashleys? Okay.
Yeah, we did.
All right. Oh no, did she have to hop? Let's see. I'm gonna look in chat. Huh. Maybe she'll come back.
I'm not sure.
Because we started with an Ashley and now I was okay. Well, we will hear from Ashley at some point. Do you want to wrap it, Mike?
Yeah, I think so. And if she happens to pop in, we'll catch her. I hope everyone who's viewing on YouTube and everyone who's here appreciates the wide variety of work we saw and the beautiful like skills and talents and vision that everyone brought to this. If Alani, would you be willing to share your screen and zoom out on that Miro and maybe just kind of pan from left to right? I think it's important that everybody sees the full gamut of everyone's work. Like every little sticky on this thing, every draft, every version, you can see the entire process. And I think it's important that we all see the process of our work as much as we see the final projects that people share. There's even more. So she zooms out and goes left. We can see in just a second.
Oh my
so,
gosh.
Yeah, maybe zoom in a little bit on the left and just like pan it over. There you go. We can zoom in over there. Uh-oh, there we go. She's got it. Uh-oh, is it going crazy on you?
Sorry, it's super laggy. So every time I like move it, it's like, no.
Yeah, well, you get the picture of just the incredible amount of work and feedback and like trial and error and helping each other and shifting. It really shows you how much they have done. And I love this software just because of that. It just has like a record and an archive of everything they've done. And I'll tell you, there were times where I opened it up and I happened to be on there at 7 in the morning or midnight. And almost every time I opened it, someone was working. And I could see who they were because their cursor has their name on it. And I could see the interns putting in hours, you know, at the times that they could that fit their life and fit their schedule. And it was just really, really impressive.
That is amazing. I definitely want to get a screenshot of that at some point.
Okay, yeah,
we have several, but yes, don't you worry.
I just want to honor everybody's time and just celebrate how much work all of you have accomplished. I just want to do a round of applause because, wow, that was amazing, everyone. Congratulations. That was awesome. So it's pretty late. I'm actually going to turn off the live stream if that's okay, but I want you all to stay because we do have a few words. But everyone on YouTube, thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for all the feedback. Thanks for all of the high fives. And please, interns, go to YouTube and read the feedback because the audience gave a lot of love. So thanks everyone for the feedback on YouTube. And again, we are back tomorrow at 9:30 with Communication Mastery. This is only day one. We have 3 more days of awesome interns and showcases. So please stay with us, subscribe, and you will get the links to our future showcases going live. So thanks everyone on YouTube. And I